As we seek transcendence and a deeper understanding of ourselves, many spiritual traditions invite us to reflect on the ego. However, in the vast field of traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, the ego is viewed in a peculiar way that goes beyond the common notions of individual identity. In TCM, there is talk of something deeper, something that transcends the conscious mind and the physical body. Shen. This concept, which translates approximately as spirit or consciousness, is essential for understanding the relationship between the mind, body, and soul. The spiritual practice of monks, especially those following Zen or Taoist teachings, has always been oriented towards the transcendence of the ego and the reconnection with this inner spirit. Although many seek spiritual and therapeutic paths to relieve mental disturbances, TCM teaches us that true health arises from a deep balance between Shen, Qi, vital energy, and Jing, essence. Shen is what brings clarity to the mind, what connects us with our true nature. It is the inner light that guides our actions, our wisdom, and our inner peace. When we are in harmony with Shen, we can deal with life's adversities in a more balanced and serene way without the limitations imposed by the ego. The beauty of the practice of monks, whether in the context of Zen or Tao, is precisely the path of cultivating Shen. This cultivation is not just a mental or intellectual practice, but involves a profound alignment of the entire being. For monks, transcending the ego is synonymous with clearing the path for Shen to fully manifest, free from the barriers of pride, fear, or the need for control. It is not about suppressing identity, but about allowing identity to dissolve and expand into a broader connection with the whole. It is in this state of balance and transcendence of the ego that the true potential of the human being is found. Shen, when cultivated and balanced, reveals our purest essence and our ability to live with purpose and clarity. This is a path that goes far beyond simple relief from suffering. It is about living fully with presence and wisdom. The monastic practice, with its rigorous methods and discipline, aims precisely at this cultivation of Shen, allowing the individual to transcend the limitations of the ego and connect with their deepest essence. Shen, in traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, is much more than a mere psychological or emotional function. It is the purest expression of human consciousness, the link that connects our physical existence with the spiritual and energetic dimensions. Its importance transcends the boundaries of Western understanding, where the spirit is often relegated to a vague or metaphysical idea. However, in TCM, Shen occupies a central place, being not only a reflection of our mental and emotional health, but also the point of balance between the elements of the body and the universe. To understand Shen, it is crucial to start with the concept of Qi. Qi is the vital energy that flows throughout the body, sustaining and animating all biological and spiritual processes. Shen, in turn, is the most refined manifestation of Qi, linked to the heart and mind. In TCM, it is believed that Shen resides in the heart, the organ considered not only responsible for the circulation of blood, but also for our mental clarity and emotional stability. Therefore, the heart is not just a physical organ, it is the center of our emotional and spiritual life. When Shen is in balance, our mind remains clear and our perception of the world is more harmonious. We feel a deep connection to our purpose and to others, which directly reflects in our physical and emotional health. However, when Shen is disturbed, whether by stress, anxiety, dietary imbalance, or even unresolved traumas, our health begins to deteriorate. Symptoms such as insomnia, anxiety, lack of mental clarity, and even heart problems may arise as signs that Shen is in disharmony. The interaction of Shen with other elements of the body is equally important. Shen does not exist in isolation. It is in constant exchange with qi and jing, two vital substances that sustain the body. Jing, for example, is the ancestral essence we inherit from our parents, which nourishes all basic life functions, while Yi is the fuel that sustains Shen and enables its manifestation. Therefore, the health of Shen depends on a delicate balance between these three forces, Qi, Jing, and Shen. If one of them is out of balance, Shen becomes vulnerable, and mental clarity is lost. It is through this balance that TCM practitioners seek to restore the harmony of Shen. Acupuncture, herbal medicine, massages, and breathing practices such as Qi Gong are some of the tools used to revitalize Qi and Shen. Acupuncture, for example, works directly on the body's energy channels, unlocking points where Qi becomes stagnant and allowing Shen to flow freely. Herbal remedies, often used in complex formulas, can strengthen the heart and Qi, promoting emotional and spiritual stability. Diet also plays a crucial role in cultivating Shen. Fresh, nutritious foods that help strengthen Qi and blood are essential for heart health and, consequently, Shen. TCM recommends avoiding overly fatty or heavy foods, as they can block the flow of Qi and directly affect mental clarity. The pursuit of natural and fresh foods is not just a matter of physical nutrition, but a practice of alignment with the natural rhythms of the body and the universe. In summary, Shen, within traditional Chinese medicine, is not only the spirit, but a reflection of an energetic balance that permeates our entire existence. It manifests in the balance of Qi, the health of the heart, and mental clarity, being essential for maintaining our vitality and emotional balance. Shen is the beacon that guides our journey, and just as light can be clouded, it is possible to restore it with the right practices. By understanding Shen and the factors that affect it, we can learn to cultivate it, keeping ourselves in harmony not only with our bodies, but with the universe around us. At the heart of monastic practice, especially in the Zen and Taoist traditions, lies a deep understanding of human nature and its relationship with the spirit, Shen. For monks, the spiritual journey is not merely a quest for enlightenment or wisdom, but a quest to transcend the ego, this illusory construct that limits us and separates us from our purest essence. It is here that the concept of Shen comes into play, as it is Shen that sustains the clarity of the mind and allows the individual to overcome the limitations imposed by the ego. In monasteries and temples, where daily life is governed by strict discipline, monks devote themselves to practices aimed at cultivating Shen and, consequently, transcending the ego. One of the central practices of this journey is meditation, or a zazen, in the case of Zen monks. Meditation is a powerful tool that allows the practitioner to calm the mind and observe their thoughts and emotions without identification. When someone sits in meditation, the mind tends to agitate at first, with thoughts and feelings arising constantly. However, as the practice continues, the mind begins to quiet, and the identification with the ego, with the internal voice that says, "I am this" or "I am that," gradually diminishes. The ego, which normally tries to control the mind and emotions, loses its power as the clarity of Shen is established. Taoism, in turn, presents a complementary approach to the transcendence of the ego. Wu Wei, a central concept in Taoist philosophy, translated as non-action, teaches practitioners to act in harmony with the natural flow of the universe without force or resistance. For Taoist monks, the ego is seen as a resistance to the natural flow of life, and its transcendence comes from surrendering to the present moment. Shen, in this context, is the means by which the monk connects with the Tao, the fundamental principle of the universe. The Tao is not something that can be understood intellectually. It is a direct and intuitive experience accessed when the ego dissolves and the mind opens to the vastness of existence. Monastic practice is structured to help the practitioner free themselves from the distractions of the external world, allowing them to focus deeply on the inner life. Life in the monastery is marked by a daily routine of meditation, work, study, and contemplation. There is no place for indulgence or ego-driven desires. Each activity, from cleaning the temples to preparing meals, is performed with a mindful attention that aims to align the body and mind with Shen. By practicing in this way, the monk not only seeks to develop spiritual virtues, but also cultivates a conscious presence, where the ego becomes increasingly irrelevant. In moments of intense meditation, monks experience a state of emptiness, where there is no distinction between the subject and the object of experience. In this state, Shen becomes completely free from the limitations of the ego, allowing the practitioner to experience a sense of unity with the whole. It is in this state that true transcendence occurs, the dissolution of the internal barriers that separate the self from the other. The ego, which was once seen as personal identity, disappears, and the practitioner finds themselves in a state of purity and mental clarity. This experience, though fleeting, is transformative, as the monk, by living it, begins to understand that the ego is an illusory construct, and that true freedom lies in living beyond it. This view of the ego is also shared by masters who emphasize the importance of not clinging to the self. For them, the ego is like a cloud that obscures the light of Shen, and by learning to let go of desires and egoic identifications, the light can shine more brightly. When the ego is abandoned, Shen can flow freely, allowing the monk a direct perception of reality as it is, without distortions caused by mental projections. The cultivation of Shen in monks is not limited to the moment of meditation. Every daily action, no matter how simple it may seem, is an opportunity to practice detachment from the ego. The act of eating, working, interacting with other monks, all of these moments are seen as practices of spiritual cultivation. Monks understand that by transcending the ego in all facets of life, they are creating a path of wisdom and compassion. This path is not selfish, but deeply altruistic, for by transcending the ego, the monk becomes more capable of connecting with others in an authentic and loving way. Over time, monks develop a deep understanding of themselves and the world around them. They do not seek the ego as an end, but recognize that true fulfillment comes from abandoning the limitations imposed by it. Shen, when cultivated with patience and discipline, allows the practitioner to go beyond the limitations of the mind and body, bringing a clarity and peace that cannot be found in the material world. This transcendence of the ego, achieved through monastic practice, is seen as the key to true spiritual freedom. In Chinese philosophical tradition, the concept of ego is not understood in the same way as in Western psychology. The ego, from the Chinese perspective, is often seen as an illusory construct, a temporary manifestation of the mind that emerges from the interactions between vital energy, kuai, and individual perception. This construct is not inherently bad, but when it becomes excessive or rigid, it hinders the harmonious flow of Shen, compromising the individual's mental and emotional clarity. The ego, from the viewpoint of Chinese philosophy, is not a fixed identity. On the contrary, it is transient, something that arises and disappears over time, depending on external circumstances and internal interpretation. The ego is shaped by the influences of the material world, culture, education, past experiences, and even the desire to control one's own life. Over time, this ego crystallizes, becoming a mask that the individual wears to protect themselves from the external world. but which also separates them from their true essence. The great illusion of the ego is the belief that we are something, fixed, something separate from the whole. This belief creates a false identity that often leads to anxiety, fear, and dissatisfaction. The incessant search for external validation and the constant struggle against the adversities of the world are manifestations of this ego, which sees itself in constant competition with others and with itself. Chinese philosophy, with its teachings of Taoism and Confucianism, offers us a radically different view of the Western conception of ego. In Taoism, the ego is seen as a barrier that prevents the individual from aligning with the Ba Tao Tung, the natural flow of the universe. The Tao is the fundamental principle that sustains all existence, an energy that flows freely without resistance. When the ego is in control, it prevents the person from surrendering to this natural flow, creating resistance and effort. True wisdom, according to Taoism, comes when the individual learns to let go of control, dissolve into the Tao, and act according to the spontaneity and harmony of the universe. This is what Taoists call Wu Wei, the action without effort, where the ego does not dominate the mind, and Shen can manifest freely. In Zen Buddhism, on the other hand, the ego is viewed in a similar manner. Zen does not necessarily seek to eliminate the ego, but rather to dissolve it, understand it, and transcend the limitations it imposes. The practice of Zazen meditation is one of the most effective ways to detach from the ego, as through the meditative process, the practitioner begins to perceive the impermanence of thoughts and emotions. During meditation, thoughts arise and disappear, but the practitioner learns not to identify with them. The ego, which once seemed solid and immutable, begins to reveal itself as something ephemeral, a cloud that passes quickly across the sky of consciousness. This brings a sense of freedom, as by understanding that the ego is a mental construct, the practitioner is able to detach from their identifications and experience a deeper form of clarity and serenity. In Chinese tradition, overcoming the ego is also seen as a matter of alignment with Shen. When the ego is out of balance, it tends to dominate the mind and emotions, blocking the clarity of Shen and hindering the natural flow of Qi. Therefore, overcoming the ego is the process of restoring harmony between Shen, Qi, and the body, allowing the human being to reconnect with their true essence. This does not mean a denial of the self or the loss of identity, but rather the understanding that the true self is not found in the identity constructed by the ego, but in Shen, in the spirit that transcends the limitations of the mind and body. However, overcoming the ego in Chinese philosophy is not a simple or quick task. It is an ongoing process of practice and reflection. In TCM, it is believed that the ego manifests in the body through various signs, such as muscle tension, emotional diseases, and breathing difficulties. When the ego is too strong, it can create blockages in the flow of qi, resulting in imbalances and even illness. Therefore, traditional treatments such as acupuncture, herbal medicine, and qigong do not focus only on relieving physical symptoms, but also on restoring emotional and mental balance, which in turn frees Shen and allows the ego to dissolve gradually. Masters of TCM and Chinese spiritual masters in general teach that the key to overcoming the ego is the constant practice of detachment and self-observation. One must be attentive to the thoughts and emotions that arise without identifying with them. Meditation, breathing practices, and the cultivation of qi are fundamental tools in this process. When the ego begins to be gently dissolved, Shen can blossom, and the practitioner begins to experience a fuller life, free from the limitations imposed by identification with a rigid identity. The overcoming of the ego in Chinese tradition also involves a process of reconciliation with the world. The ego, in many situations, creates a separation between the individual and others, leading to competition, judgment, and disharmony. When the ego begins to be transcended, the practitioner feels more connected to others and the world, experiencing a sense of unity and compassion. This compassion is a direct consequence of the clarity that comes with cultivating Shen, for by perceiving the impermanence and falseness of egoic identifications, the practitioner is able to see others as parts of the same whole, worthy of love and respect. Therefore, the overcoming of the ego, in Chinese tradition, is a deep spiritual journey that involves both internal practices of self-knowledge and alignment with the natural forces of the universe. By understanding the transient nature of the ego and learning to detach from its limitations, the individual can access mental and emotional clarity, allowing Shen to manifest fully. This process is not a rejection of the self, but a reconnection with the true essence of being, which transcends the limitations of the ego and lives in harmony with the whole. In contemporary society, where the challenges of modern life often create an environment prone to mental overload, anxiety, and the incessant search for external validation, the ancient wisdom of traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, continues to prove itself a powerful tool. In a world dominated by speed, technology, and constant pressure, using Shen to overcome the ego becomes a relevant and profoundly transformative practice. Connecting with Shen, this inner spirit that transcends the limitations of the ego, not only provides a refuge from the daily hustle, but also opens doors to a more balanced, conscious, and free life. Today, the quest for overcoming the ego is not limited to traditional monastic practices, but has spread across various areas of well-being and self-discovery. Meditation, mindfulness, yoga, and even modern therapeutic approaches such as psychotherapy converge toward the same goal, helping the individual transcend the ego, find a deeper meaning, and live more authentically. Shen, in its essence, teaches us that true peace comes from detaching from egoic constructs and reconnecting with something greater and unchanging. Meditation, for example, is one of the most accessible and effective ways to cultivate Shen in modern life. While its roots are deeply embedded in the spiritual traditions of Asia, especially Buddhism and Taoism, meditation has been widely adopted in the West as a tool to reduce stress and improve mental well-being. When practiced with the intention of cultivating Shen, meditation is not just a form of relaxation, but a profound path to transcend the ego. It teaches us to observe thoughts without identifying with them, allowing the mind to calm and Shen, our purest essence, to manifest. In this process, the mind, once overwhelmed with desires, fears, and worries, begins to free itself, creating space for clearer consciousness and a deeper connection to the present. In the context of mindfulness, which has gained popularity in recent decades, the practice also aligns with the cultivation of Shen. Mindfulness, often described as full attention, involves constant observation of the present moment without judgment. The practice helps to slow down the mental flow and allows the practitioner to perceive how egoic constructions, such as fear of the future and regret over the past, interfere with clear perception of reality. When practiced regularly, mindfulness allows the practitioner to experience a sense of unity with their environment, a consciousness free from the barriers imposed by the ego. This practice becomes a gateway to the direct experience of Shen, as it transcends the analytical mind and connects the individual with a state of pure presence. In addition to meditation and mindfulness, yoga practice has proven to be a powerful tool for cultivating Shen. In yoga, the body is seen as an essential vehicle for spiritual transformation and connection with Shen. Through postures, asanas, breath, pranayama, and meditation, the practitioner seeks to align the body, mind, and spirit. Yoga helps release physical and emotional blockages, allowing qi to flow freely and Shen to expand. Just as in TCM, the health of the body is seen as interconnected with mental and spiritual health. By strengthening Shen, the yoga practitioner not only improves physical health, but also attains greater mental clarity and inner peace. In the therapeutic field, modern psychotherapy has also aligned with the principles of cultivating Shen by helping individuals break free from the traps of the ego and reconnect with their true essence. While Western psychotherapy primarily focuses on emotional and psychological issues, many contemporary approaches, such as cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and positive psychology, emphasize the importance of detaching from egoic constructs that limit well-being. Psychotherapy helps patients recognize how limiting thoughts and beliefs, often generated by the ego, affect their behavior and emotions. By helping individuals reconnect with their purpose and deeper values, modern psychotherapy can be seen as a way to restore Shen's balance and consequently overcome egoic blockages. Modern science has also begun to explore the biological foundations of Shen, or at least how elevated states of consciousness, those where the ego temporarily dissolves, affect the brain and body. Research on neuroscience and meditation has shown that regular meditation can lead to structural changes in the brain, particularly in areas related to empathy, emotional regulation, and decision-making. These findings offer a scientific perspective on what spiritual practitioners have long known. By transcending the ego, not only does the mind calm, but the body also benefits from greater health and vitality. Furthermore, the concept of Shen can be found in what is now called emotional intelligence, a concept popularized by Daniel Goleman. Emotional intelligence involves the ability to recognize, understand, and manage one's own emotions, as well as the emotions of others. This skill is crucial for overcoming the ego's impulsive reactions and cultivating a more balanced and harmonious life. Therefore, the practice of Shen can be seen as a holistic approach to cultivating emotional intelligence, as it involves not only the mind, but also the body and spirit in a process of integration and harmony. With all these modern practices and approaches, we see that the cultivation of Shen remains an effective way to overcome the ego in contemporary life. In fact, the ancient lessons of ego transcendence and reconnection with Shen are becoming increasingly necessary in a world that constantly challenges us to be in tune with our true essence. However, Shen is not only a solution to personal or emotional problems. It is a path to true freedom and self-awareness, allowing us to live more authentically and harmoniously with the world around us. When Shen is unbalanced or disconnected, a series of signs begin to manifest in the body and mind. These signs are often a reflection of a blockage in the flow of qi, accumulated emotional tension, or a disconnection between the spirit and the body. In traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, these signs are not seen merely as isolated symptoms, but as indicators of a deeper imbalance that needs to be restored. Identifying these signs and understanding their origins is the first step to reconnecting Shen and restoring inner harmony. One of the first signs of Shen disconnection is insomnia. When Shen is unbalanced, it may be unable to keep the mind calm during sleep, leading to a pattern of insomnia or disturbed sleep. Shen, which resides in the heart, is closely connected to our ability to relax and rest. When it is restless or stagnant, the mind becomes agitated, preventing restorative sleep. Furthermore, an unbalanced Shen can manifest as anxiety, a state of constant worry or fear. These feelings indicate that the spirit is not at peace and is being consumed by incessant concerns, often related to the ego and the future. Another clear sign of Shen disconnection is lack of mental clarity. The mind, which should be free and alert, starts to become cloudy. The person may feel a constant sense of confusion, difficulty concentrating, and an inability to make clear decisions. The clarity of Shen is what allows the individual to perceive life with lucidity and discernment. When Shen is unbalanced, the mind gets lost in a tangle of thoughts and emotions, making it difficult to understand one's own experience. Moreover, emotional and mass physical problems can also arise when Shen is disconnected. Emotional disturbances such as depression, irritability, and frustration are common when Shen's energy does not flow properly. On the physical level, Shen disconnection can lead to muscle tension, especially around the heart and head, as well as digestive issues, as Shen also influences the body's systems related to qi and vital energy. Reconnecting Shen is not a quick process, but it is possible with continuous practices of self-care and mindfulness. The first step is meditation. Meditating regularly helps to calm the mind and release the emotional blockages that prevent Shen's flow. Meditation practice can be simple, involving just a few minutes of focusing on the breath or a deeper visualization technique, in which the practitioner visualizes Shen flowing freely throughout the body, bringing clarity and calm. In addition to meditation, the practice of qigong and acupuncture are essential for restoring the flow of qi and reconnecting Shen. Qigong, for example, involves gentle movement and breathing exercises that help release energy blockages and strengthen Shen. By doing these exercises, the practitioner not only increases qi circulation, but also harmonizes the elements of body and mind, allowing Shen to restore itself. Acupuncture can also be extremely effective for balancing Shen, especially when the imbalance manifests in emotional or mental symptoms. Specific acupuncture points can help unblock stagnant qi, restoring energy flow and bringing a sense of calm and clarity. Many TCM practitioners use acupuncture as a way to balance the more subtle aspects of Shen, addressing not just the physical body, but also emotional and spiritual disturbances. Diet also plays a crucial role in reconnecting with Shen. In TCM, foods that nourish the blood and calm the heart are recommended to restore Shen. Nutrient-rich foods like leafy greens, root vegetables, whole grains, and fresh fruits help strengthen qi and soothe the mind. Additionally, drinking calming infusions such as chamomile or lavender tea can be helpful for relaxing the body and mind, promoting better sleep and a general sense of well-being. Another important factor is conscious breathing. Often, when Shen is disconnected, the breathing becomes shallow and irregular, which can exacerbate anxiety and tension. Deep breathing practices, such as abdominal breathing or the 4-7-8 technique, inhaling for 4 seconds, holding for 7 seconds, and exhaling for 8 seconds, are extremely effective for restoring Shen's balance. Breathing not only oxygenates the body, but also directly affects the nervous system, calming the mind and promoting a deep sense of relaxation. Finally, self-care and mindfulness in daily life are fundamental to reconnecting with Shen. Taking time to relax, slow down, and listen to one's body and spirit is essential. Often, we become lost in the demands of the modern world and forget to care for our essence. Taking moments to breathe deeply, walk in nature, or simply reflect on what truly matters helps restore Shen's clarity and bring emotional balance. In summary, the signs of Shen disconnection are clear and can profoundly affect both mental and physical health. However, through practices like meditation, qigong, acupuncture, proper diet, and conscious breathing, it is possible to restore Shen's balance and overcome the limitations imposed by the ego. Reconnecting with Shen is not only a process of healing, but a path to a fuller, calmer life in harmony with the true essence of being. Cultivating Shen is a continuous process that requires practices and exercises that promote both physical and emotional balance. However, the cultivation of Shen is not limited to a single technique or ritual. It is a lifestyle that incorporates daily practices that nourish the mind, body, and spirit. With the intensity of modern life, many people find themselves overwhelmed and disconnected from their essence. But there are simple and effective practices that can be adopted to restore the flow of Shen and bring harmony to the self. One of the most effective practices for cultivating Shen is meditation. Meditating is not just a moment of relaxation, but a profound path of self-discovery and balance. In TCM tradition, meditation serves to calm the mind and help perceive emotions and thoughts that arise with clarity. A simple technique is mindfulness meditation. By focusing on the breath and observing thoughts that arise without judgment, the practitioner allows Shen to flow naturally, free from the distortions caused by the ego. Spending a few minutes daily to meditate helps dissolve the ego's barriers and reconnect the mind with Shen. The practice can start with 5 to 10 minutes and gradually increase as the practitioner's experience grows. Qi Gong, a Chinese practice involving gentle movements, deep breathing, and concentration, is also an excellent tool for cultivating Shen. Qigong is designed to harmonize the flow of vital energy in the body, restoring balance between Qi, Shen, and Jing. Through fluid movements, the practitioner learns to release accumulated tensions, unblocking energy channels that allow Shen to manifest clearly. There are many styles of Qigong, but a simple practice that can be done daily involves gentle circular movements with the arms, breathing deeply while visualizing Qi flowing through the body. Regular practice of Qigong improves Qi circulation and strengthens the connection with Shen. In addition to these spiritual practices, moderate physical exercise is essential for maintaining Shen's health. While meditation and Qigong work on the energetic level, regular physical exercise helps keep the body in balance, allowing energy to flow freely. Daily walks, yoga, tai chi, or even gentle dances can be powerful ways to connect the body and mind, helping to release stagnant energy and restore emotional balance. Physical activity not only improves cardiovascular health, but also serves as an effective way to reduce stress and anxiety, two of the main disturbances that affect Shen. Conscious breathing is another key practice in cultivating Shen. When Shen is unbalanced, breathing tends to become shallow and irregular. Practicing deep breathing helps restore balance and bring clarity to the mind. A simple technique is abdominal breathing. Inhale deeply through the nose, expanding the abdomen, and then exhale slowly through the mouth, contracting the abdomen. Performing this practice for a few minutes daily can help calm the mind, reduce anxiety, and restore energy flow. Additionally, nutrition plays an important role in cultivating Shen. Fresh, light, and nutritious foods are essential for keeping Qi and Shen in balance. Traditional Chinese medicine recommends foods that calm the heart and nourish the blood, such as leafy vegetables, fresh fruits, whole grains, and nourishing broths. Avoiding heavy, greasy, or overly processed foods helps prevent stagnation of Qi and Shen. Drinking chamomile, lavender, or other calming teas can also be an effective way to promote emotional balance. Finally, mindfulness in daily life is one of the most powerful practices for cultivating Shen. Instead of living automatically, often allowing oneself to be consumed by the fast pace of life, dedicating moments of the day to being fully present in what one does can restore the connection with Shen. This can be as simple as paying attention to your breath while walking or being completely present while eating, feeling the texture and taste of each food. The practice of mindfulness allows us to slow down, feel and experience the moment with clarity that the ego often obscures. These practices, when integrated into daily life, not only help balance Shen, but also offer a path to a fuller, more conscious life aligned with one's true essence. Cultivating Shen is more than a technique. It is a lifestyle that involves attention, patience, and self-care. By investing in this daily process, the individual reconnects with their true nature, transcending the limitations of the ego and living with more harmony and wisdom. As we explore the concept of Shen and its ability to help us transcend the ego, it becomes clear that true freedom and clarity do not lie in mastering the external world, but in cultivating the inner spirit. Shen is the key to unlocking a more balanced life, free from the limitations imposed by the mind and egoic constructs. By connecting with our Shen, we are able to perceive life in a broader way, where the ego dissolves and our true essence is revealed, bringing peace, harmony, and wisdom. This path does not require drastic renunciations or external changes, but a profound internal transformation. As we've seen, practices like meditation, qigong, conscious breathing, and balanced nutrition are just some of the ways we can reconnect with Shen and overcome the limitations of the ego. These tools not only promote a calmer mind, but also help restore the flow of qi, strengthen the body, and align the soul with the universe. Now, I invite you to reflect on your own journey. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by the weight of the ego? Have you experienced the feeling of being disconnected from your essence? If the answer is yes, it's time to begin your practice of reconnection. Start with a simple moment of daily meditation or practice conscious breathing whenever you feel the ego taking over. Remember, the journey to transcend the ego and cultivate Shen is personal and ongoing. There is no rush, just the constant practice. Share your experiences in the comments below and subscribe to the channel for more content about the power of Shen and the pursuit of true inner freedom. The path to peace begins with a single step. Let that step be yours.